G'day and welcome to MPS 101 Sequences for the multi-pose system brought to you by ge-NeticS. Now in this tutorial we'll be going over setting up poses in a timed sequence to play one after each other. Now this comes in handy for if you have an animation that's say 5 minutes long that you want to upload and you've had to upload it into 10 separate animations, as Second Life only allows you to upload a maximum of 30 seconds for an animation. So you can have it set as a sequence so that it plays one after each other as a smooth long animation. But for this tutorial I'm just going to be setting up something similar as I did in the basic setup tutorial. However, instead of setting the poses into 3 separate buttons, I'm just going to put them into one sequenced button to play them one after each other. First thing I need to do, I'm just going to go into my chair here and edit linked parts because I want to work with my child prim. Going to go into my inventory and I'm going to grab a copy of the book, the desk. Now in basic setup tutorial I already put the prop script in the desk, so I don't need to do that again. And grab my snoring sound, and I'm just going to grab my 3 single animations here and take them into the content. And I can take a copy of the MPS helper, settings note card, and setup script, and I'm going to drag them in there as well. The helper will ask to track my camera, yes, and I'm going to choose the helper's color, light blue, and sit down. Say yes to animate. Now before I touch the helper to get the menu, I'm just going to position my avatar here because I'm in the first pose, first animation that I want to be in. And while I'm at it, I'm just going to get my camera position ready as well. So let's just say there, and touch my helper to get my menu. Now for this demonstration I'm not going to set any menus or sub-menus, so I'm just going to have it in the main part of the menu. So I'm just going to go set button, and I'm just going to call this sequence and submit. Alright, I don't need any facial expressions, items, sounds or props for this particular pose part of the sequence. So I can continue by setting a timer. Now this is the time in seconds that you want this part of the sequence to play before it moves on to the next part. So set timer, and as with the setting buttons and the menus, you'll get a text box that you can just click in here and enter the seconds you want it to play. So I'm going to set it, say 6 seconds, and submit. Alright, now that I've got all that set, my camera is in position, I can click Save Data. The data will pump to chat there, and you'll see that you got 00 here after your data identifiers to indicate that it's either the first part of a sequence or just a single pose. So now I can change my animation. I'm just going to go to part 2, sequence 2, and before I continue any further I'm just going to position my avatar some. Alright, and I'm going to grab my desk out as the prop. So I'm going to set prop, and I'm just going to choose 2 as desk. It'll res out, and I'm going to position that into place. Alright, I think that looks pretty good. Happy with that. I'm just going to get my camera into position here too while I'm at it. Alright, let's say I'm happy with that. Alright, so I'm going to set my facial expression to the sleeping. So I just go across the pages here and choose 20 for sleeping. And I'm going to set my sound for this one as well. 1, and loop the sound. Alright, so now I don't actually need to change the button name for this one because it's for the same button sequence. Now, as long as I have a timer set that's more than 0, it will continue on with the sequence as the next part. If the timer was set to 0, if I save the same button name again, it would overwrite the last one that I set, or first part of the sequence if you've set more. So because I have a timer, it'll just add on as a sequence. But I want to change this timer for this part of the sequence, so I can just go into set timer and I can set that, let's say 8 seconds, and I will submit. Alright, so I'm just going to check over my data here and make sure that it's alright, and I'm pretty happy with that. I'm happy with my camera position. I can click save data. Alright, now that that's dumped to chat, I'm just going to hit the set animation, and I'm going to change into the third one, which will be the reading part of the sequence. Now I don't want the prop there, don't want my face or sound. I'm just going to, rather than hit reset data and I'd have to set the button name again, I'm just going to go into each of these and reset them individually. Alright, now obviously need to give a book for this one, so I'm going to go into set item and I'm going to choose 1 book. Alright, I'm going to move my avatar into position. And I will get my camera into a position that I want it to. Let's just say I'm going to put it down here. Alright, I'm happy with that. And because this is the last part of a sequence, the time doesn't really matter so much unless I wanted it to loop back to the first part of the sequence. And to do that, I'll show you how to set that in the settings to have it loop back a little later. But for now, I can set this as, to prepare for that, I'm just going to set it, let's just say I want to set it a little longer, so I'm going to set this one as 10 seconds and submit that. Alright, so I'm happy with all the position there, I'm happy with my camera, I've got my book to be given, and it's still set as sequence there, so I'm going to hit save data. Puts the last part out, you'll see that sequence there again, the 02 to show that's actually the third part of the sequence. So it started off with 00, it goes 01 and then 02 and so on and so forth. Now if I had more poses that I wanted to set, I could continue and I could either change the button or I could keep going in the sequence with the same one. So I could set up more sequences or just normal poses without any sequence. But because this is all I'm doing for this tutorial, I can go into dump data, and I want all my data, so I'm not going to turn in any of them off. So I'm just going to leave them all selected, and I'm going to hit dump. So all the pose data will dump to chat, and I'm going to remove the scripts. Okay, I'm going to go into my local chat now and just get all that data between the lines there. Just highlight it and copy, and go into my chair, just edit linked parts into the main part. Open up my settings note card, and I'm going to go down here and paste that data. And you'll see that it's got 00, 11. Alright, so what I'm going to actually do is I'm just going to leave this for now so that it goes to the last one and plays. So I'm going to hit save. There. Note card will save. And while I'm in that prim, I'm going to open up my inventory. go and get the CPU script, HD script, and ISP script, and drag that to the contents. That'll start to load the data. While it's doing that, I'm just going to take off edit linked parts, so I'm with the root prim. Once that's loaded, I'm going to grab the RAM script and I'm going to drag that into the root prim. You see it has one pose loaded there. Even though we set up 3 parts, because it was just for the one button, it shows as one pose. And the good thing about sequences is they only take up the same amount of memory as, say, a single pose would take up. Maybe just a little bit extra, but basically the same. So now that that's all done, I can take a seat on my chair. See, I go into the first pose, I've got the menu there, it's only one in there, we've got sequence. I'm just going to close that for now. There we go, 6 seconds passed and I'm in my second part of the sequence. Prop out, facial expression and sound, and here I go into my reading one, and it's given me my book. I'm just going to discard that and go OK. And now it'll stay in this pose now because we haven't told it that we want it to loop back to the beginning. So now that it's done, I'm just going to stand up and I'm going to go into the chair here and I'm going to open up the settings note card and show you how we can get that to loop back. So what we're going to do is I'm going to go to the last part of the sequence here, the CPU 02. And this last value here of that line where it says 10, that's the seconds. So at the end of that there, I'm just going to put a little star symbol. And this will indicate that you want it to loop back to the first part of the sequence once it's played. Now, while I'm in here, I'm actually going to turn off the sit menu because we've only got one pose in there, so there's no need for this menu to come up when I first sit. So where it says sit menu here, I'm just going to turn this from yes and set to no, and I can click save. Alright, that new data will load up. Once that's loaded, I can take a seat. Again, I'll be put into the first pose, and since we turned the sit menu off, I didn't get a menu this time. There I am in sleeping, but if I did want the menu, I could touch the chair and I'd get it. So I could adjust. There we go, and the last part, giving me my book. And if we wait 10 seconds, it'll go into the first part of the sequence again once it's finished with this one. There we go, into the first part again, and then it'll go through the whole sequence again. There I go and sleeping. And when I stand up, sound stops, prop disappears, and there we go. That's the sequences for you. I hope you enjoy setting up your sequences. As you can see, it's really quite easy to set up a sequence. Not really hard at all. So I hope you continue enjoying the MPS.